3,
Cool.
2, 1. Maria Unera. How you doing, Maria?
What's up?
Yeah. So why are you in Pakistan?
Oh, we're starting straight
I
up.
mean, it's just
I don't know. My parents.
your parents. I want to preface this question by okay, it's unfair for me to ask someone who can't leave, but you could
I
leave.
can, yeah.
Yeah. तो
Well, technically,
हाँ.
पैसे चाहिए होते हैं.
पैसे चाहिए होते हैं. Oh, that's the problem, right? That's the problem with most of us. But how is it? How is work going? How's music? How's all that stuff?
Really good. I mean, I'm very, very grateful for where I've landed over the years. So music is good, man. I got some new music coming. I've been working a lot with different people, lots of collaborations, and everything else is just a follow. Yeah.
Collaborations is that the way to go these days? Also, how long have you been doing music for? Let me ask you that first. How long have you been doing music?
Way too long.
Good.
Roughly 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
13. How did it start?
Well, the law, I feel like everybody on the internet at this point, whoever has seen my interviews, know this story. Yeah, I just started singing in high school. It just happened. I'm half Filipino. My mom always made us sing when we were kids. By we, I mean my elder brother and I. And then eventually, bas, ho gaya. Phir, I started playing at cafes and busking around Islamabad when I was 16. Professionally. Like when I started actually doing gigs where, I mean, I wasn't getting paid, but I was being called as a performer to come and play. So I would somewhat say that was when I was like, okay, I think I could do this. But then I think I got my first project when I was maybe 17, 18.
Okay, so 2 years after you start performing in public,
Sure.
let's just say that. And I'm thinking this is an acoustic, just vocals, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
2 years after that, you get your first gig, first proper paid gig. That's what happened?
Something like that, yeah.
Jeez. I mean, okay, so you're good now, but were you always? No, you can't be this good. But now when you start, dude, there's too much polish. It's not. It can't happen like this.
Well, I wish you knew my mom. She was really hardcore with our practices, be it sports or music or dance or literally anything. She was very, yeah.
Is that a cultural difference?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, karaoke is not just a stereotype. It's literally part of the Filipino culture. And so we would take that stuff very seriously, like have proper competitions. And my mom was very, she was very like supportive. So she would make me and my brother sing in the Filipino language also.
Okay.
And so that kind of became practice. I remember growing up, whenever she'd come back home from work, we would have this session where she'd be like, okay, plug it. I mean, we had a karaoke machine.
Okay.
You know, so there was really no escape to not singing or not wanting to sing because it was just there all the time.
That's super interesting. Okay, and your dad's Pakistani?
Yeah.
What his linguistic background?
He's from Lahore.
He's from Lahore, so he's Punjabi.
Punjabi.
See, that's another culture.
Oh my God, yeah.
They're not shy about dancing and singing. Celebrations and stuff, right?
Not at all. Well, my dad's side of the family, they're a bit like introverty. So I haven't really seen them go wild, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
sure, okay.
Like I haven't seen them in a musical setup. It's always very formal.
Okay.
I mean, my cousins are dope.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like the elders. Like it's always been formal. My mom's side of the family, again, very, very music-y, very, you know.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So I think lots of people in Pakistan don't understand music to be a good thing. They don't understand singing to be a good thing.
Yeah.
They don't even draw a distinction between singing and music. There is a distinction. You know, you can have a melodic voice and not even if you are so inclined कि आपको ना music नहीं करनी है क्योंकि music हराम होती है. ठीक है. But you can have a melodic voice. You know. Do you feel like how was it growing up in a culture that not only didn't celebrate what your mom wanted to celebrate, because it sounds like she's like, no, this is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
This ought to be practiced and nourished, right?
Mhm.
How was it? Because you grew up here.
Yes.
Okay. So growing up here, how was it living at odds with the two things? How was that?
It was really tough, man. I mean, I think looking back now, I think like maybe it was easier. I don't know. I don't know about my brother's experience, but from my point of view, he was able to gel in a bit better with society and with his circle of friends at the time.
Mm-hmm.
For me, on the other hand, it was very, very difficult because I was an extreme introvert as a kid. Like my early memories of being social with kids my age is probably 6, 7 years old. And it was tough because even though we used to go back and forth a lot to the Philippines every summer, we were still majority based here. So it was tough for me to get along with the kids, like Pakistani kids and also Filipino kids, because I had to face two culture shocks, right? Over here, it's a little racist, but also over there, it's a little racist too. Because, I mean, I remember the kids in my school, the Filipino kids at least, because my mom thought it was going to be a great idea to put me in the convent where all the Filipino kids were. Fair enough, I understand, because the missionary were also Filipinos, but we're not Christian, but she just thought that it would be comfortable for me to, still being in Pakistan, be able to be comfortable with, like, you know, the same kind of kids, which was obviously not entirely the case, because to them, because I was Muslim, I'm not considered Filipino.
Oh,
you get?
okay, all right. So it's a religious identity as much as it is a
Because I mean, the Philippines is also just as conservative as Pakistan. I mean, it's very Catholic. They're like, they follow the Vatican. You know, so it's very strong on both ends. So for me as a kid, it was tough. I didn't know where to fit in. Even the religion aspect was very confusing because my mom wanted us to have not the full experience, but she just wanted us to understand that this also exists and that you have your choice to wear whatever direction you want to go. However, you're 7 years old, you don't know jack shit. Like you're just trying to make friends and play, right?
Well, I mean,
it was tough. It was tough.
It's not just that. Also, I think what your mom must have experienced, I can't speak for her, but I think what she must have experienced also is that you need equal and opposite forces, right? So people in Pakistan, generally Pakistani society comes on real strong with certain parts of our morality, not others, right? Like beating your wife is fine. That's sarcasm. That's sarcasm, right?
Of course.
I mean, you say of course, but
yeah, I know.
that's sarcasm. But they won't talk about that. But they love to get in your business about things that's not actually their business, right? And so I feel कि हाँ, hindsight 2020 होती है, and 7 साल की उम्र में maybe, you know, wasn't the best idea to put. But I also think कि drawing back on my own experience, I mean, I'm from here. Look at me. I mean,
I get it.
It's literally, if you look up Pakistani guy, okay, more or less, you know, average Pakistani, this is it, right? But I faced similar experiences being Sindhi because the schools I would go to were the teachers were mostly Urdu speaking, and they would berate a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, right?
Oh,
For speaking with an accent. I don't have an accent anymore, but so because Sindhi was the first language I learned, I had a Sindhi accent in my Urdu. Ab nahi hai, lekin no one's.
But you were also 5.
I was 5, and also, how is that serving anyone?
Yeah,
it's nothing, right?
But you know, I think music was the only thing that was able to make me feel that I fit in somewhere. Because even though I think I started singing in front of a crowd when I was maybe 10. My mom used to host these Filipino functions. So we would take Christmas very seriously. We would take Easter very seriously. A lot of like Catholic holidays, but in the Philippines, it was a festival. It was like a fiesta where there's food, there's dancing, there's karaoke, there's freaking games.
It's a celebration.
It's very influenced by the Spanish ways of festivals and like.
Was the Philippines colonized by
Yes.
Spain? All right, of course. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But the Spanish culture also, I mean, if you want to just discount the Inquisition and the colonization, that's a beautiful culture also. And it's a
Yeah.
fun culture. I
Yeah.
think,
It's
very passionate.
Very, very passionate, very loud, very fun.
Yeah.
Lots of food.
Yeah.
Very similar to the Philippines, 100%. And very tight family unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Latin culture, I think.
Recently, Mystapaki and Osama Nasir, I don't know if you know these people, but they did.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah. So they made reels about the minorities that live in Karachi. I think they're only doing Karachi right now, and I think they're gonna branch out
I
soon.
saw a video
Yeah.
recently.
I think it was super fantastic because you're telling me all this stuff's happening in Pakistan. I'm over here in Hyderabad, and I'm just like, everyone's like this, right? Like looks like this.
Yeah.
And I think we do a disservice to our own people and to our own kids, because then when I moved abroad, it was just, I mean, even moving to Karachi, in fact, from Hyderabad, it was just, the thing is, if you don't give your child confidence,
Mhm.
because that's the number one thing a child needs. And abhi bhi aap dekhoge in the comments, what is the general Pakistani reaction to insecurity?
Mm.
They act out, right? And
They
it's always
bully.
it's bully, exactly that,
Yeah.
right? So for instance, agar hum abhi ye podcast seems like it's gonna happen predominantly in English, right?
Pretty much. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, right? Matlab agar koi ek banda Sindhi mein baat karega, jaise, so do you know who Saif Samejo is?
I'm so sorry.
No, please don't be sorry, but he's one of the most preeminent Sindhi singers in Pakistan, right? Super fantastic.
Nice.
A voice that sounds like it's coming from the mountains, even though he's sitting right in front of you, right?
Oh, wow.
And people have been like, and he's a childhood friend of mine, right?
Ah.
He's like, and people are like, why don't you bring him on the podcast? I'm like, it's interesting. You don't know what you're asking for, because we only speak in Sindhi.
Oh,
Right? It's impossible for me.
that would be interesting.
But it'd be impossible.
Maybe experiment.
Sure, right? But that's what I'm saying is,
Whatever comes out naturally, right? Of
that's
course.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But people, because they're insecure about the fact that they might not understand all of it, they'll tell you, ki aap burger hai. I'm sure you got that, right?
Yeah, I've gone Bun Kabab too.
That's
After living here for 4 years, I've gone.
that's evolution, by the way.
Yes.
That's them accepting you.
Yes.
Maybe you'll sell more albums now. I don't know what's going on. But so people will be like, "Ki yaar, English mein baat, Urdu mein baat kar lo, kya ho gaya, kuch nahi hota." How was that experience for you? Even though,
Oh, I still go through it.
oh, I know, but I mean, you're a grown up now, though, right? I mean,
Still go through it.
what's a grown up? Kisko nahi pata.
Well, actually, as a kid, yeah, it was tough because in our house, we would only speak in English. My dad wouldn't speak to me in Urdu or Punjabi. And my mom would speak to us in Filipino a little bit, but it was mostly English. It was mostly, we would just all speak in English. My brother learned Urdu in school and through friends and stuff. So his Urdu is so much better than mine. He's also 8 years older, so it makes sense. My Urdu, I actually learned Urdu, or I started learning Urdu properly when I joined Nescafe Basement back in 2000 and I want to say 12 or 13, 2013. It's like 10 years ago.
Okay, so for work purposes.
No, not even. It was just like, I mean, in school, I had the option to take Urdu, but remember that first question you asked me? Like, why are you still here?
Oh, you never wanted to be here?
I was like, yo, I'm going to leave next year. So I'm going to take French. I'm going to go to Europe. 10 years later, we're still here.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Well,
Life.
15 years later, we're still here.
Life.
So I always took French. I mean, and then I stopped at the 7th grade. I gave up. I was like, it's too tough. And then never went to Urdu class, which honestly, now being 29, I wish that I did. Just for, it's such a beautiful, sensitive, fragile language. Like you mustn't go wrong with Urdu. That's like my opinion of it. I think it's a very beautiful, and I wish, like, when I read, I don't really read poetry, but when somebody's explaining a poetry piece, it gives me goosebumps no matter what it is. Like, it's just such a beautiful language. Like, each word describes something so basic and simple in English, so like beautifully, that that it makes me wish that I learned how to write and read in Urdu, which I still can, of course. But, that thought always occurs.
I think it's a young language comparatively, right? So what are we talking about? We're talking about Filipino, which is inspired from Latin, I think, right? But it's not really based in Latin, but it's inspired by Latin. Latin is one of the oldest languages, right? English is a colonizer's language, but English is also inspired by Latin and stuff. Urdu is a younger, softer language because it was, I think, what was supposed to unite the people of the subcontinent was love, or at least that was the hope. It didn't, because people took over the language, right? And then Urdu kind of became more or less like English, another colonizer's language, right? So we're just like trying to colonize each other. So first it was the British trying to colonize us, and now it's the Urdu speaking enforcing their linguistic superiority, which there is none, linguistic superiority over everyone else. Punjabi is an older language. Sindhi is a much older language. Balochi is a much more resilient language and older language. And I don't even want to get into the Parsi and all of those other languages. I'm forgetting Pashto. I don't even want to, right? That's a tough language. And it's, so I think somewhere we lost the beauty of it. You're right. I wish. Here's what's interesting also. This is why I'm more burger than you maybe. Again, both of my parents.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Please, let me explain. Both of my parents super fluent in Urdu.
Oh, lovely.
Read, write, all of it.
Amazing.
My mom actually, alhamdulillah, speaks 6 languages. My dad speaks 4. Yeah, gangsters. Just
cool.
Please, come on.
Oh, look at you flexing.
But it's not me though. I can barely speak 3. I can speak 3. I can barely speak 4. But
what's the 4th?
Sindhi, Urdu, English, and a little bit of Arabic.
No way.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of, but it's nothing to, it's not really anything. So when I would go into class, because of my Sindhi, Urdu was difficult for me also, even though you would think it'd be easier, right? But it wasn't. It wasn't easy because the people that I associated with the language, this was the problem.
Yeah.
The people that you associate with the language is the problem.
Right.
So for me, Urdu became associated with these snobby, condescending teachers. And I was like, nah, I'll just speak English. It's fine. And I'll just speak Sindhi. It's fine. And so I would try to kind of work my way out of Urdu also. I had no designs of leaving. I was just like, nah, but I can get by in English and Sindhi, So I think that becomes a problem. But if you were primarily English and speaking Filipino,
hardly Filipino, but primarily
just English, yeah. How are you? So you start singing in English, right? That's how you start.
Yeah.
And is singing in English? This is probably a dumb question, but because I'm illiterate to music, speaking in or singing in English, how different is it to then try and sing in Urdu? I'm thinking the basics are the same.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to think they were completely different. Obviously, they are because they're 2 different languages, but techniques are the same when you're singing. Like, I mean, now we live in a much, much modern 21st century digital age era. So now you can sort of implement the style of Western singing to Urdu. I mean, essentially that's what Hassan Rahim is doing, and many other Tahaji is doing. Many other singers of today in our country have implemented. I mean, this is just my opinion. Don't come at me. But, I get it. You have to constantly say it out loud.
Dude, it's ridiculous. But kyun? Because aap dekho na, you could sing praises for these people all day long. I love Hassan Rahim. I love Tahaji. I think those guys are fantastic. Tahaji is actually a friend. Purana dost hai before he was Tahaji.
He used to be a fan apparently.
When he was Taha Gurwara.
He's still Taha.
No, bro, no, he's Tahaji.
That guy knows him too.
Yeah? Fantastic. So what's it called? But yeah, people, I think it has to do with the kind of strife and the kind of close-mindedness and the kind of dearth that exists in Pakistan. I really think people
it's also just the internet.
I mean, it's that, but I think yahan pe especially, people just really need to be right. And part of their being right is कि हाँ ठीक है तो फिर मैं हसन रहीम का फैन हूँ ना तो बस फिर हसन रहीम को कोई कुछ ना बोले लेकिन आप सुनो तो सही कि मैं कुछ बोल नहीं रहा हूँ मैं तारीफ ही कर रहा हूँ
बिल्कुल,
right? But they don't even want to understand what makes Hassan Rahim great. There's something that makes him great, right?
Of course,
there's something that
he has a uniqueness to him. Of
course. But if you try and to them from my understanding, if you try to unpack it, like I'm a huge fan of the Youngstanners, right?
Yeah.
And I at length will talk about what makes them so gigantic, you know, so
Yeah.
fantastic, right? But people will be like, नहीं ऐसा तो नहीं होता, और ऐसा नहीं होता तो आप बताएं कैसा होता है, नहीं उनको भी नहीं पता है. They just want that mysticism,
Mm-hmm.
right? We as a culture, I don't think we want to figure out what makes us work, what
Mm-hmm.
makes us gravitate towards certain people. And I think that's why I keep offering all these all these trigger warnings, I guess you could call them. So Bal, you were saying
Yeah.
Hassan Rahim and Tahaji, you're saying they take techniques of the English singing.
No. What I mean is like the type of music that they're doing. It's very modern Western type of music. It is not
EDM type, is it? Nahi.
Yeah, sure. You could say not EDM. You could say they're very like with Taha, it's very synth. So there's a lot of synth and there's a lot of bass. With Hassan, also a lot of synth, a lot of bass, but a lot of lo-fi drums. Very, very interesting kind of music that the West is also making or has been making. So us cheez ko implement karke matlab like even the music itself and the style of singing is not bassy. You get it? It's not like classic folk. When I was younger, that was my interpretation of Urdu music. कि मैं नहीं गा सकती in a high pitch note and I can't enunciate and I still can't feel like I mean Zahid bhai, he's one of my dearest friends and like I look up to him and he's a great musician, great everything.
He's just a great.
He's just a great.
He's just a great.
He's so cool.
Okay.
So he also has given me the confidence to be like, you know, you can implement your own style of singing and make a song your own. And it doesn't mean just because it's in a different language, you can't do it. You know how to sing. It's just you gotta be able to enunciate and pronounce the words better. Because Urdu ka yahi sara scene hai na ki like you have to do it like dil se, like it needs to come with meaning. I'll give you an example. When I did Nescafe Basement season 3, and Xulfi bhai had told me that I was only going to do one song, I think.
Okay.
Well, we decided 2 songs, but at the time I only knew that I was going to do Crazy by Gnarls Barkley.
Okay.
Right? And so that's essentially an English song.
Bus.
So it was great for me,
what's
right?
the problem?
I was like, hell yeah, man, I love that song. I play that song all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
So we were at rehearsal and he's like, okay, Maria, you're going to sing Anjanay by Strings. And I'm like, I don't even...
That's not a language?
I was like, what's that?
That's not an option?
And
also, sorry, but one of the problems with that song is gigantic song.
Oh my God, yes. By the way, I had no clue that it was that gigantic.
It is huge and you could get it so wrong because everyone knows how it's supposed to go.
So I was very nervous and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And Sherry Khattak had joined also in that season. It was also his first season. I think season 3 was, what a guy.
I fucking love Sherry Khattak so much,
What a
man.
guy.
He's just the nicest. My
So
problem with
humble.
him is just the most normal.
He's so normal.
He's just so normal. I don't understand what the problem is, right? So
you can't be that normal.
You really can't. I mean, at some point you have to, this is too much. This is like a wolf in sheep's. I don't know what it is, right?
But what a beautiful human
just
being.
Fantastic, mashallah.
And it's an honor that I've known him for all these years, you know.
So here's the thing, mashallah. I didn't know him, right? So first time I meet him after Ye Duniya.
Oh,
after it's taking
like now.
off, right? Yeah, just now, right? Like recent last year. And just shows up by himself, no entourage, no nothing. Just shows up to the studio to do the podcast, and he's just like, "Haan bro, main Sherry Khattak hu." I'm like, at some point, I don't know why I was thinking that someone else was going to announce that.
Oh wow!
Yeah. It's just so normal. But
yeah, he's really he also plays an integral part in my start in my commercial music career because he used to, along with Xulfi bhai, really I don't want to say train, but like help in a lot of technical parts, like with the music stuff. So when he told us that I was going to do Anjanay, I was like, okay, I don't know, I gotta listen to the song. So I'm like there, I'm just like, okay, all right. Like, yeah, I've heard the song before. Okay, nice. Yeah, okay, nice. I'm like, okay, what does this song mean? And so Zulfi gives Zulfi and him. I mean, Zulfi himself gave Sherry the duty to explain word to word
Hmm.
what it all means. And so he's telling me, and he's like, Ajnabi, he's telling me what that is. And he's like, Anjanay. And then he's just like, tell me basically everything. And then we started singing it together. And that's when Zulfi Bhai, I got very comfortable singing. I started getting comfortable in front of the whole band, which, by the way, was like my second day there. And it felt like I was going to school because remembering that I was an introvert, I didn't know anybody. It literally felt like college. Nescafe Basement was my university years, even though I never went to uni. But for me, that was like, so walking in, we'll get there, walking in to, rehearsal. And I was just like, oh my God, intimidated and completely overwhelmed. When Zulfi saw that I'm getting comfortable singing it with Sherry, that was when he's like, okay, we're going to do it a duet. And so that was like my first experience singing an Urdu song. And I think because we changed it up a little bit also, musically a little bit. I mean, we kept most of the known parts the same. But in true Nescafe Basement style, we used to switch it up here and there, add a little instrument or two. So उस लिहाज से ना फिर मुझे थोड़ी सी comfort भी मिली कि okay.
Well, I think so. So the thing that I'm hearing, and I think this is brilliant. It really matters who's around you and
100%.
your environment. And I think who better to switch to Urdu or to just be introduced to commercial music with than Zulfi and then Sherry Khattak. I think that's fantastic. But I also do think that speaks to inadvertently your mom building that confidence into you.
100%.
Right?
Oh my gosh, yes. She was till the very end. She was she really, really is the reason why I'm even able to live in Karachi on my own. You know what I mean? And I remember for season 4 when we did the all-girl band, I almost wasn't going to do it because I felt this sense of extreme guilt that I was going to leave my mom in Islamabad and go to Lahore while she's going through chemo. It just didn't make sense to me. But, one day she sat me down and she's like, dude, this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you're going to get where you get to play music with just women. I'm like, and she told me, she was like, always remember where you live. This is never going to happen again unless one of you make it happen, And at the time, it didn't make sense to me because I was just I was a rebel and I was very resentful. I was just a kid. I was like 20 years old. Just like completely stubborn but she pushed me and I'm glad that she did because that exactly what you said. That was the training of confidence that she gave me.
Because I really do think if you're going to especially make it as a performer, make it as a woman in Pakistan, make it as a performer, make it as a musician, make it as in anything.
Yeah.
I think confidence is a skill at this point. I really don't think confidence is something that you are born with, but I do think it is something that you can be raised with. And I do think some people do start at a disadvantage because I've known some tremendous people, some people that are truly beautiful. But because of how they grew up and because of their childhood, they're just not confident in themselves. And confidence, by the way, the definition of confidence that I ascribe to is not puffing out your chest and being like or just speaking and berating or what have you. It's not that. It's really not that. Confidence is building up Joe Rogan ne bola tha kisne, I don't know, I don't remember, but confidence is basically building up a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. I think that's it, right? Who are you? I'm a singer. Okay. What's the proof? Oh, dude, let me take you back to when I was 7 years old. I got proof, right? And then all of a sudden, confidence isn't you faking it because that's the one thing.
Essentially,
you
gotta. I mean, I don't know if faking it is the right terminology here, but
I mean, just you know what I mean. What I mean is
it's like manifesting the truth.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this, right? What I'm saying is you will be insecure if you haven't put the hours in. There's just just no way around it.
You'll never know unless you do the deed.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're in front of Xulfi, or if Xulfi is somewhere and Sherry Khattak is standing next to you, looking at you, that's not something you're going to be able to wing your way out of, even if you're lyrically, even if you're melodically gifted in that कि अगर आपकी आवाज अच्छी भी हो, आपकी आवाज अच्छी हो सकती है, कुछ लोगों की आवाज अच्छी होती है naturally, right? खूबसूरत होती है आवाज उनकी, but no,
Yeah.
you still need the skill of confidence.
Yes, I agree 100%.
So I think that's fantastic.
I think like that is something also the comfort of all of those people who to this day are still, I'm maybe not always in touch with them, but every single musician that I've worked with on that show, they all have a very special place in my heart because especially the ones that I spent every single day with, you know, I'm still friends with so many of them. And it's interesting, man. It's interesting how our industry and the community and everybody who choose to be supportive, it's a very beautiful way of surviving.
Well, I was going to say that, right? I was going to say exactly that. I think you build deeper bonds when there's less to go around, because there's an element of sacrifice always. Unfortunately, I know you're not trying to compete. I know you're not trying to compete, but unfortunately, the way the financial structure is set up, you're all competing.
Of course,
right? You unfortunately just are, right? That's just what it is.
But we're being made to compete.
Of course, yes, 100%, right? But this is the game, and if you choose to play it, and if you choose to play it with love, I think those bonds are stronger than anything you're going to experience anywhere else, because you're, essentially, if someone offers a kindness, offer something that bolsters your skill, they could be, and this is unfortunate, right? And this is sad, but they could be preparing the tools for their own downfall, or and that's a harsh way of saying it, but
it's the truth. I mean,
you know?
I agree. I mean, like, you know, a little story.
Yeah.
Last year, I don't know if you knew that there was a re-recording of the national anthem.
Yes, I knew.
Yeah. And there were about, like, I want to say 130 something singers. I was one of them. Very honored. For the next 50 years, you and your kids are going to listen to my voice along with 130 plus kids as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
What an experience. Oh my goodness. Even though it was obviously a government project, it didn't feel like one, because I was approached by Nimra Rafiq, another brilliant singer. She's from Karachi, now based in Islamabad. Beautiful human being. And I honestly, at the time, I was just hustling, right? Like last year, this time, I was just like, yo, I got to make money, try to recover from everything that I've put myself into. And
but you want to get into that later? What did you put yourself into?
The usual debt of an adult.
Oh, just
Some
living?
people have like just living, just
life,
just adulthood. So she was like, yo, you gotta like sing the national anthem. I was like, yo, I haven't sang the national anthem in like years, but fine, whatever, we'll do it. And it was gonna be this huge project, and they were gonna redo the video, and then we were gonna record in some auditorium, and Rohail Hayat was gonna like be the conductor or producer or whatever, and it was just gonna be like this whole thing, and I was just like, am I getting paid? And they're like, yeah, you'll get paid. I was like, okay, yes. So for me, apart from my very minute patriotism, that was like, I go there and I've absolutely, I don't know what to expect. But the second I see like musicians from my basement days, musicians from when I used to busk in Islamabad, musicians from here, everyone getting together and all like 30, 40 of us just hanging out at my friend Zoha's place, and we're just singing and spending all night together and just having the most beautiful weekend ever. Like obviously काम तो था, हम rehearsal पे गए, हमने वो सारा किया, but the more beauty of that entire project was that all 30, 40 of us were just together. And there was no filter. There was no wall. Nobody needed to be someone the way maybe one might need to be on social media. Nobody needed to be reserved or, like closed up. Everybody was just so comfortable. And I literally didn't realize how much I missed having that community. Because obviously moving to Karachi was very different for me. The music community over here is in pieces, which is fine too, by the way. It's great, like to each their own. But that experience really made me realize how important it is to have a solid, positive musical community to get an industry to thrive. वरना कोई scene ही नहीं है.
कोई scene
Otherwise,
नहीं है.
it's just like, hey man, I hate you, and then the other one. I mean, like, we shouldn't have room for that, you know. And another thing that made me realize about that experience was that I was just thinking about yesteryears. I'm like, oh my god, in the '90s, Nuri and Jal and Vital Signs and Janoon and all these bands, this is what they used to do. They would hang out, they would jam with one another, they would party together, they would do all these shows together, they would perform together, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're literally creating history just by spreading that love and musical joy amongst one another.
While re-recording the national anthem.
Holy moly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think that's fantastic. I also think what you described, the other thing that you described, you cannot. No man or a woman is an island. You cannot do this without a community.
Absolutely.
This is not possible, right? Or आप try कर लो.
Yeah.
To your own dismay. मतलब मुझे कुछ नहीं, आप कोशिश कर लो. But I think what another very important thing from that story, when you choose to be an artist, right? There are going to be times when things are going to be very difficult.
Oh my god.
And not only yourself, but a lot of other people are going to wonder why you would pick this, right? Why you would pick this is then when it works, and then when maybe you get paid for doing what you love, it sets your soul on fire. I think that's what it is, right? I think people who never pursued that will never understand because they picked a safer, more sensible, more sensical route. I completely agree with the more sensical route. Of course you should pick it, right? But then the only problem is because they didn't pick it, they sometimes get bitter and then they sometimes lash out. And I think that's what you see on social media with people, the way they criticize you or some of the other artists. It's just like, you know, तो किस पे एहसान किया artist बन के? किसी पे नहीं, एहसान नहीं किया. But you just have to understand that this stuff's difficult too.
Oh, yes.
You know, this shit's difficult too.
It's very difficult, man. Like, I mean, I am so blessed, to be honest. Like, I sometimes when I'm in a funk and I feel like utter crap, I literally, I take 10 steps back mentally, and I'm just like, I should be so grateful for all the people that I have around me, all the musicians that I have around me. Like, I have so many great friends who may not keep in touch all the time, but they always remember to check in. And you don't get that very often, you know? Like you said, everything's a bloody competition. And fair enough.
But especially now, I think now because of social media and all those things, you're just bombarded by everyone's work, right? And you're like, the other problem is people make you think कि अगर आपका गाना मैंने सुना तो मैं उसका नहीं फला बंदे का नहीं सुनूंगा और उनका सुन लिया तो मैं आपका नहीं सुनूंगा. That's furthest thing from the truth. If you have access to everything, just consume everything. बकवास क्यों कर रहे हो?
You're not going to lose anything.
No, you're not going to lose shit, right?
And also, like, having said that, like, the speed of this race that we're in, I mean, often I also am too human, and I also feel like, okay, everybody's throwing out music. Like, what the frick? I should be also doing this. And I have the music, but why am I not doing this? What's holding me back? And blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of spiral in that thought, and then that thought creates anxiety, and then you end up not doing anything. And then that, you know. But I think what I've learned is that it's okay. And like you said, that I'm not really racing. I do it for myself. I don't have the best numbers, and I'm very well aware of that. And I know it's because I'm part of I cater to a very niche market. Like the other day I was at a friend's place and her cousin walked in and he said, "Hey man, is your next single going to be a sad song?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yes." And I looked at him and I'm like, I've never gotten that response ever before. Because people just like direct me to just making like, "Oh man, her songs are too sad." But like, so is Joji's, okay? So is Billie Eilish's music, all right? So why can't I have sad music? But I had that pure joy when I saw him go like, yes. I was like, Yeah, buddy, I got 2 new sad songs coming.
Shit. Why you said you have music and you don't release it? Why don't you release it?
So it's not that I don't, I have it, I'm not releasing it. It's more like, you know, to keep it in simpler forms, it's like when you make, when we're recording and then it's in post-production. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And jo hum baat kar rahe the, where it's tough to rely on people. And I'm not coming at you, Sinan. I love you.
Oh,
You're
Sinan
great.
Rizwani?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
great.
dude, I love him.
I
Love
love
him.
you, Sinan.
Yeah.
Okay, you're my homie. I understand you got to mix a lot of music, but you know, वो थोड़ा सा delay आ गया था. Because Sinan करता ही है. But
he's an artiste. He's an artiste.
He's
all
an
right?
artiste.
Yeah.
But he did send me the mix last night. So
Fantastic.
thank you for that.
Oh wait, so you have it now?
I do have it now.
So how can
But it's still, again, it's still like, it's now it's gonna go to this guy named Tom that Sinan is referring me to, so he
Okay.
can master it.
Okay.
The point is, like, I also then become lazy,
Uh-huh.
and then I also kind of don't follow up, because in my head, which I'm trying to work and I'm trying to get better at it, I essentially do 2 jobs.
Okay.
In fact, I do 3.
Okay.
But the third one is kind of linked to the first one. So primarily, I'm a musician, right? I sing.
Okay.
And I make music and I put it up on Spotify. Sometimes I'll make
Okay.
music videos, whatever.
That's
right?
one. Okay.
And then I do a lot of gigs, like corporate gigs, private gigs. You won't see me do commercial stuff as such, because not everybody likes to dance to the 80s. So I have this whole other side of me as Maria Unera, who performs for people's parties, people's events, in club, private stuff. And those shows are like, that is my bread and butter.
Right. That's
Right?
2. And what's the third one?
And the third one, so that is the second one, kind of links to the first one. The third one is I'm also a social media influencer.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was
And
gonna
that's
say.
a whole other freaking job on its own.
Yeah. That's an entirely different
So when
game.
I get like swamped up into that, I then naturally slack with the music stuff.
Which one do you think is the most detrimental to your health?
The social media stuff.
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
100%, sorry. Simply because I gotta keep up. Oh my goodness. It's just like, abhi aaj, I was just looking at my Instagram and I'm just like, what happened? I used to be so good at this.
Mhm.
Like, am I getting older? Am I getting bored? What is it? You know? Am I running out of ideas?
Life?
What am I doing? I don't know. Yeah, have my responsibilities enhanced? I don't know. But yeah, I would say, so it gets tough, man. It gets tough when I'm focused on that one, and then, you know, and then obviously, like, when I get burnt out, then I don't want to do anything. Then the will of even doing an errand at home becomes exhausting.
Mhm.
So it's an accumulation of, it can be an abomination, but वही thin line है ना, जो आप उस चीज को आप cross नहीं कर सकते. And that thin line is very faint,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And yeah, it's not easy.
Do you go to therapy?
I don't. I should.
You don't go to therapy?
I don't. I know I should.
No,
So
no,
my
no,
experience
I'm not
with,
shaming you.
no,
But
I know.
how come?
So I over the years, I never thought I needed it. That's just, again, the rebel and stubborn and like egoistic kid inside me. But I think over the last year, I've come to the conclusion that most importantly, I need grief therapy, because that is something that I should have done maybe. And now, obviously, that I'm older and I've sort of experienced life as an adult and as an independent woman, especially in a metropolitan like Karachi, I've realized that I need one. But my experiences with finding a therapist in the city, however, oh my Lord.
So
Oh my Lord.
that's what I was gonna say to you. Is I think.
That's a task on its own.
Oh, dude, please. I think the one thing that I need to preface before I say this is, I think everyone needs therapy, yes, but I think everyone needs a good therapist, because a good
100%,
therapist is like going to the mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
You could have a Ferrari,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You still need maintenance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Tesla को नहीं चाहिए होती maintenance शायद, मुझे नहीं पता. Maybe you're a Tesla, but then no soul, right? Just saying these things.
Thanks.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
right? So finding one is
Oh my lord.
freaking nightmare.
I
Yeah.
gave up, dude. Like after I literally tried for a few months. So funny. I was just talking to my really good friend about this the other day. And she was like, "No, don't stop. You got to keep trying." I was like, "Yes, I know, I know." But it's very interesting how the process of also reaching out to a therapist, especially when you've never done it before. I think for me, it's I try, if for the people who know me very, very well, and this is something that I always say on air whenever I'm being interviewed or whenever I'm sitting and talking to people, I'm a very sensitive human being, right? And often I can come off, and I try to also have this facade keh do, where I have thick skin, and I always try to put a strong face on because that's just how I've been raised, you know, like to not have a wall in front of you, but just keep your guard up enough to know कि कहाँ boundary draw line करनी है, right? So when it came to obviously being vulnerable, that was like really tough for me to a stranger, at least. Like, I mean, for some reason, it's easy to sing my song Strong. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a song that I sang about my mom, and it's a very emotional track. Somehow it's very easy to be vulnerable while singing that track. But when you're being real, not that I'm not being real on stage, but like when you're being real and it's not work or music or anything else, it's just you're actually asking for help. That shit is very tough. And to build that courage for me was interesting.
I think also just adding on to it is the problem that most therapists understand this to be a money-making concern. I don't, of course, make money. Of course, make money, right?
Yeah.
But when you start to feel like ये बंदा या ये खातून या ये हजरत जो हैं, ये literally जब मैं इनसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि यार क्या सीन है क्या नहीं है, they're literally understanding that as a how much money could I get out of him? मतलब कोई पागल तो नहीं है ना? Like you said, I mean, you're a grown up now. You understand this. You've seen it.
Yeah.
In life to understand what a hustle is, and this is what a hustle sounds like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not just being vulnerable. It's also you don't even have my best interest at heart. Like, well, what's wrong with you? You know?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, yeah, sure. Now that you've mentioned it, yeah, that would make sense too. I mean, I don't want to say all therapists.
No,
are
of
like
course
that.
not.
But I think I reached out to a bunch, and I remember this one doctor, she like did this little session with me. Not a session. It was more like, okay, so like, you know, just tell me quick, like what's happening? Like, what are you feeling? What is like, you know? So like 20 minutes of that phone conversation. And then in the end, she goes like, you know what? I think I'm going to refer you to someone else. That fucking broke me.
But you know what though? I think that's admirable.
Do you think so?
I do think so. Here's why, right? Because she appraised.
I feel like she wasted my time.
I think it's the opposite. I think she didn't want to waste your time. I think she appraised the situation and she was like, I'm no good for her. I'm no good
fair,
for her.
Yeah. If you
I'm no
put
good
it
for
like
her.
that,
Yeah, I'm no good for her, but I don't know who she referred you to. I think she literally, I think I have immense respect for that because people would do the opposite.
Good. Okay,
that
nice.
People are like, ठीक है, जो भी आपके मसले हैं.
I mean, that honestly, at that moment and at that time, I was just like, really, woman?
No, you're right. Yeah, because
after all that, you know.
I think.
But I think it was also also my state of mind at that point.
Of course. I think she could have prefaced it better. I'm not saying she couldn't have done it better. But I think I have immense respect for that because that's straight up, like, that's just her being like, no, I don't want to take your money if I can't help you. No, I don't want to take your money if I can't take care of you.
Right.
I think that's fantastic, right? And I think, obviously, she could have just done it so much better. If she could have just said that to you, K. Maria, yes, and I'm sorry, this must have been difficult. You know, the
choice
way
of words, I think, really matter.
Of course, of course. Lekin mere khayal mein, I have tremendous respect for that. I do because
cool.
I have.
You sounds like you've had terrible experiences with it.
So I'm a therapist.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So
I do you want to refer someone to me?
Sure. After the podcast, I will. But I practiced therapy for a good year and a half, 2 years. But then it's just
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just too much for me, right? Lekin, I felt this in me as well, where I would hope कि अगर कोई मेरे पास आ रहा है तो उसका कोई ना कोई फायदा हो. Right?
Sure, of course. Yeah.
And I was also a therapist under training. Now, what people would do is, so I never got my full diploma because there's this thing that you have to go through. I didn't go through it because I was like, man, nahi karni ye cheez, right? But just those couple of things, people would omit like it was no big deal. But the first conversation I'd have is, yeah, before anything, I'm a therapist under training. You have to understand what that means. I'm with such and such organization. You have to understand what that means. And none of your stuff will be spoken about outside this meeting. You have to understand what that means. But if I feel that you are under risk, then I'm going to have to ask someone for help. You have to understand what that means. And if I would only proceed if those things if the other person understood completely what that meant, right? I think boundaries की आपने बात की, आपकी boundaries बेशक मजबूत होंगी because of your childhood. I think generally boundaries are so gray. It's just nothing bifurcates, nothing else, right? So people will have all this knowledge from textbooks about therapy. Beautiful. But you're still dealing with a person, right?
Of course,
and so अगर मैं इसमें अपनी मर्दानगी का मसला बना लूं कि नहीं कोई भी मसला हो उनका मैं बर्दाश्त कर लूंगा और मैं देख लूंगा. One of the first people that I saw, I could only do 2 sessions with him. After the second session, I was like, dude, I'm sorry, you know, I need to, but I can't. And so with respect, this is my colleague. She'll take care of you. It's going to be fine. Or I don't know what fine is, but I just can't help you. Right. So, but so many people, it struck a nerve because so many people I've seen do exactly that. No, there's no way you have enough experience or enough holding to deal with someone who's, you know, like in your case.
Like their whole life.
Yeah. And in your case, I mean, it was such a huge loss, you know, with your mom and everything. Allah ko jannat nasib kare. But like, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Because I've studied with you. I know you're in my class. There's no way you need to be saying yes, or you could be saying yes to this, but you are. Right? So I would much rather this lady, just with the probably nicer phraseology, tell you कि नहीं यार मेरे से ऊपर की बात है. Essentially that's what she said. So then who she referred you to, वो भी?
So then I just obviously I became a chicken shit, so then I never reached out, and I think like that kind of blew my little slight whatever self-esteem I was able to grow to reach out. But now obviously this was a couple months ago, and I think now over the last few days I've just been processing a lot and thinking about generally life and the future, and where do I see myself in a couple years, and what is it that I want to do, and so many things that come to my mind from yesteryears that haven't been resolved mentally, and you know, so I'm thinking of reaching out now, hopefully to someone.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years or whatever?
Not here.
Not in Pakistan.
Finally put that passport to use. I want to say Europe.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to Europe. I don't know why. Anywhere. Maybe like Scandinavia or Europe. Somewhere where I can feel slight solace and I can make music and not be dependent on an industry that's growing, which is great. But like, you know, when I started making music, I didn't do it to achieve stardom.
Okay.
There's fame and then there's stardom.
But if you want to make the big money, you have to be a star.
I don't want to be a billionaire off of it. Do you get it? Like it's more sentimental than a business module for me, personally speaking. I can make money off of it. I just need to be able to play my cards right and be in a situation where I don't feel like I have to be playing at people's parties where I'm the entertainment. I don't mind it. It's great money. It's great money for now. It's decent money. It's not great. It could be better. But beggars can't be choosers.
Sure. Yeah.
But I need to be able to I want to be in a place where I know that, okay, at least this genre is appreciated. I'm sick and tired of, oh my God, that sounds so extreme, but I am extremely exhausted of this certain kind of expectation just because I make music here in Pakistan. That matlab, you know, agar मौसीकी अगर पाकिस्तान में करना है तो आपको उर्दू में ही करना चाहिए, बीबी. And I'm like, नहीं, हम 2023 में यार खुदा के लिए For heaven's sake, I've literally, and this is not a flex, this is a genuine like fact. I have represented Pakistan in so many countries and so many platforms in all of these 13 years, alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
that I, singing English, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
representing this country and being who I am, true to myself in music, being I mean, of course I am half Filipino, but at the end of the day, if I'm representing Pakistan, I am a Pakistani
Sure,
too,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So why does it have to be कि मतलब अगर मौसीकी करनी है तो masses को target करना है? भाई मैंने नहीं करना target masses को, right? I had my fair share of touch of that, and that freaked me out. I don't want that lifestyle. I see my friends, dude. I see my friends, my famous friends. They cannot leave their house.
No, I'm sure they can't.
They
Of course
cannot.
they can't. Yeah.
They cannot go to a bloody restaurant and just sit without 20 people coming towards them. They can't travel. Like, thank God for COVID, because now they can wear masks wherever and it can be normal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I never wanted that. I never wanted that. I still don't want that. I think my only entire expectation that I've ever had from this industry and from society, the music society, has always just been respect. That's it. And by society, I mean organizers, I mean brands, I mean not just the musicians and the people who listen to my music, because the people who listen to my music, they give me the izzat.
Yeah.
मैं देखती हूँ,
Yeah,
मैं
yeah.
सब पढ़ती हूँ. I feel everything. I used to get such cute fan art. Like, people would draw shit and send it to me, and
so nice.
write me letters and gift stuff to me, and like all of that. That I know is love and respect. But like, the one thing that really did disappoint me in these last couple years has been the lack of respect, just because you sing in a different language and you're a woman and you sing in a very unique way. And not to toot my own horn, but I know that I am unique in my own way when I sing. I know what I am capable of.
That's okay. That's okay.
not me. That's you.
It's not me at all.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, wait, what?
That's your.
Yeah, that's my
check. Yeah, I
thing.
told you.
What the hell? Please go. Please, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. That upset me. Okay. Please keep going.
But yeah, I
you just
mean,
tear
it's
yourself.
just essentially, it's just that. It's just the fact that, like, I wish that just because of my gender and the type of music that I make and the way I've done it and the way I do it wasn't just a dependency of who I am and how someone should respect me. I don't know if any of that made sense, but
all of it made sense.
Yeah.
I think all of it made sense. And I think, so the way I would unpack some of that is, pehli baat to, people need to get over the fact that English is one of the official languages of Pakistan. अगर मैं यहाँ पे पला बड़ा हूँ और आप यहाँ पे पले बड़े हैं, तो हमने अंग्रेजी सीखी कहाँ से होगी? Are we foreign agents? Were we sent to America or England or wherever to be trained and indoctrinated in the language, and then that's just nonsense, right? दूसरी चीज, I think जो respect की बात है ना, two parts to that. One, the famous friends wali thing. I think when people put their life on the internet, I don't think people understand boundaries as well as they should.
People who put their lives, or people who are receiving?
Receiving.
So the fans.
Of course, the fans, right?
Yeah.
The general public. I don't
100%.
think, they don't understand the boundaries.
100%.
And uske upar, I think generally as a society, we have lost our ability to respect each other despite our differences. Right? There was a time when we could entertain thoughts without accepting them. There was a time when we could be okay with people making music in English, people making music in all sorts of other languages. It didn't matter, right? But now, because everything's been stripped bare in terms of our situation, in terms of our society, in terms of hamare halat, I think we're all just grasping at straws, and we're trying to figure out what makes us, what are we? And we need to tell ourselves that what we did was better than what the other people did. I think it's that. And I think it's a tremendous problem. And I feel that if you feel a lack of respect, that's because there is a lack of respect. And you're not, I don't think you're the only one who thinks this way. And I don't think you're wrong entirely. But I think above the public, I think maybe the organizers. could,
Oh my God.
you could be a little more respectful.
Oh my Lord, yes. Honestly, like now I just don't, whenever, it's very rare that I do a commercial gig.
Okay.
Because I just sometimes, there's still also a lot of these organizers are still in that era of like, oh, she could probably do it for like, just like whatever.
Heckling.
Peanuts.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, have you even done your research? Do you even know who you're calling? Not that I'm trying to be, मैं ऊपर से आने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, मैं एक वैसे ही जनरल बात कर रही हूँ
हाँ, do you know
कि जब आप किसी को बुला रहे हो, do you just see it because उस फलाने बंदे ने शेयर कर दिया था स्टोरी पे तो इसको बुलाते हैं?
That's literally it though.
I get it.
Yeah.
But honestly, like to strive and actually make money, थोड़ा सा research करना चाहिए.
I think
But it's also laziness, right?
No, it's exactly that. It's nothing else. It's exactly laziness and a lack of respect for the other person. I think, जैसे आपने content creation की बात की, I think a lot of people will just look at the fact that you have above 70,000 followers and be like, बुला लो. नहीं, एक मिनट. आपने गाने सुने हैं? नहीं, बुला लो.
बुला लो, खैर.
हाँ, खैर है. कितने मांग लेगी? You know what I mean?
It's very, yes, that's definitely, I think another thing about the exhaustion of social media influencing is this numbers game. It's really, so funny. Ushna Shah shared a meme. No, not a meme. Sorry. A post on Instagram. And she wrote that if mental health is the wound, then social media is just the salt.
100% it is. That's profound.
And I love the way that is phrased because it's so accurate.
Yeah.
That no matter... log hamesha kehte hain, just be true to yourself, show your true self, people will love you for who you are. And the second you do that, it's just...
I think people will, I think people will love you for who you are, but there will always be
I know.
Yeah, a small minority.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it takes is a small minority, especially for someone who's vulnerable. या तो बंदा जो हो ना पत्थर का बना हुआ, लेकिन कौन होता है? पत्थर का बना हुआ मुझे नहीं पता. But I think even if it's a small minority, and because we're human beings and we kind of fixate on negativity, I think it's where social media has enabled at least me and a lot of other people, you and yourself included, to make a lot of money. I do also think it's getting to that point where it's getting dangerous.
It is, man. And it's really scary. But like, I remember I was in Hunza in 2021 and I went for a month. And my dad called me one night and he was just like, bhai, you're unemployed now. I'm like, what are you talking about, Dad? He's like, it's all over the news. I'm like, what's all over the news? I'm in the middle of the
Maria.
Like, what is all over the news?
Maria Unera unemployed. No, they wouldn't.
Like, what did I do? Did I do something? And then I'm like looking around, I'm like, did I do something? Like, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Nobody gives a shit about me. Why am I on the news? And he's like, no, you're not on the news. Instagram's off. Like, it's crashed. It's done. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, you're right. I am unemployed. And I'm like checking like everything. And it was down. The server was down for like 24 hours or some shit. That scared me. That actually gave me the jeepers where I was just like, hold up. That is not normal. That's not okay. I shouldn't be feeling this way. Why am I so dependent on an app that I hate, but also love, but also need? Why is this happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this day and age when you have these little minute realizations, which don't feel, by the way, कि मतलब this, like in the, हमारे अम्मा अब्बा सोच रहे होंगे यार क्या अजीब तुम किस बातों पे टेंशन ले रही हो, but at the same time you're just like, dude, it's like your business, it's like going bankrupt, or it's like losing your entire entity.
Yeah, through no fault of your own, by the way.
Through no fault of your own.
That's the problem.
कभी भी किसी भी वक्त होता है जब ये threads वाला situation आया और फिर obviously I had FOMO, so I was like, let me see what it's all about. I'm not even a Twitter person. So when I made an account and then someone shared that you can't get rid of it because then you'd get rid of your Instagram. That also gave me a little bit of a what the frick.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, man. I would like to not feel this way anymore. That is why I'd like to go to Europe and just make music. And
Hmm.
that's okay. They have programs there. I'll survive.
Yeah, you think they have programs there?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, I
There's
think
some.
there's some. I think my conversation with Ramesh, I had him
I
on.
love what he's doing, man.
Yeah, of
That guy.
course,
He's such
right?
a genius.
But I think recently his move away from social media has kind of given him this thick skin, and Allah unko aur kamyab kare. But he was saying this to me. He was like, कि I don't envy the position that you're in because I was in the same position a year ago or 2 years ago, and then जितना भी मेरा जरिया माश जिसको बोलते हैं अर्निंग
Right.
एबिलिटी टू अर्न जरिया माश को मैंने जैसे ही सोशल मीडिया से हटाया ना उसके बाद ऑल ऑफ दीज थ्रेट्स मेरी आपने देखा होगा ज़बान भी थोड़ी ज़्यादा ख़राब हो गई एंड आई स्टार्टेड कॉलिंग पीपल आउट फॉर देयर शिट बिकॉज ये जो इंटाइटल्ड एन ऑन अकाउंट्स होते हैं कि तुम हमारी वजह से ही हो Ramesh started digging into them. Like, तुम्हें बताता हूँ मैं तुम्हें ऐसे क्यों, right? Because he's like, I'm not earning shit from the social media, so I'll make content and I'll have fun with it. And if they take it away from me, then they take it away from me. Where in Europe exactly were you thinking? Do you have a plan, or you have ऐसे ही बस अभी फिलहाल
So-
just venting?
The initial plan should be to get out of Pakistan. So I was thinking first of going to Dubai and working there for a year because my best friend lives there. And she's super cool. She's like a marketing genius. And an account
I think
manager.
मतलब ये fighting words, and I think you said best friend, तो बाकी सब क्या not best friends? Everyone else is just like
She's a
second tier
reason.
guys. Second tier. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
yeah.
Jeez.
No, but Afroz is my. I mean, I've known her since I was 15, dude. And she was the one who actually found me at a park. That's how we became friends.
Found you at a park doing
She
what?
found me at a park. I was singing. I just newly learned the guitar, and my mom taught me 4 guitar chords. And she's like, any song from the 90s.
Okay.
No, any song from the 80s. Any rock song. These 4 chords, just play.
Mhm.
And boy, was she accurate. So Afroz was she was organizing a gig because this is what she does. That's how she started. She used to organize these little acoustic nights in Islamabad. So she saw me singing in a corner at the park, and she walked up to me and she was like, "Hey man, you sing really good, and are you like all by yourself?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm all by myself." And she was like, "Oh nice, my name's Afroz." Whatever. She introduced. She was like, "What do you do?" Blah blah. I'm like, I go to school. Like 15. She's like, "Oh, you sing really well."
What do you do? I do homework.
I do science. So she's like, "Okay, well, you sound great. Keep singing, and if you want to perform this Saturday, we're doing a gig. I can maybe squeeze you in for a couple songs." And without any hesitation, I said, "Hell yeah!" And then I think that was the day, or was it the day after? I realized that she's also my neighbor.
Oh, snap.
So then we kind of became inseparable, and every single day since that day, we just have been 2 peas in a pod.
What's she doing in Dubai though?
So she used to work for she used to work with a lot of celebrities. Like she used to be the account manager for this company called Pico, which
Okay.
they do a lot of events.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm probably giving a wrong description, but just Google it.
नहीं perfect है because what if you're not supposed to give this description? तो अच्छा है ना गलत है तो
Right.
ठीक है तो क्या? They can't say it.
Then she she worked at the Dubai Expo 2020
Oh, wow.
Pakistan Pavilion. She made that shit happen.
Okay, fantastic.
And yeah, she's dope. So
Okay.
I will go live with her
Okay.
and be her little assistant
Little
for a little bit
assistant,
because she's
okay.
also like a big sister. So I just go work with her for a year, make some mullahs, and then go to Europe. Where in Europe? I think I'm a little drawn towards Denmark because
Oh.
I've met musicians from Denmark. I know that's a bit in the Scandi side,
Sure.
but also the Netherlands.
They're beautiful.
I've actually played at Amsterdam back in 2015. I did a gig there. See, representing Pakistan everywhere.
I recently had a conversation with a good friend of mine. He's a comedian, and he was like, कि यार जो भी performing arts होते हैं ना, we perfect our craft here, we build our craft here, we want to do it for our people, but जो हम पैसे कमाते हैं वो बाहर से कमाते हैं. Doing the thing that we build for our people,
For our people.
बाहर. Think about
There
how
are people outside. Yeah.
think about the heartbreak that is though.
It's a bit, honestly, that gig was so random also. And the aftermath of that, I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, what? You're from Pakistan? Oh, you're from Pakistan?" And I'm just like,
Pakistaner.
and I'm just like, "Yeah, can you imagine?" And they're like, "So you can wear this?" And I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Like I wasn't like nothing provocative. And they were just like, "You can wear jeans and a t-shirt in Pakistan?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Yeah, man, like it's pretty."
Yeah, we got roads and phones.
They're like, "So, like, do you guys live in mud houses?" I've actually been asked that, and I'm just like, what the fuck do you think? Where do I live? Like,
मतलब वो तो उनका अपना ignorance भी होता है ना.
of course. And it's also like what the media feeds them, you know? So yeah, so maybe Amsterdam, I kind of like the vibes there. The music is just, I was actually, I think it's also because I got a little taste of the community over there. And it's very much what I would like to do.
Okay.
There's the musicians over there, there's no transactional situation. Okay, matlab, like, hey, I'm here to do a podcast with you. Maybe I'll get some attraction, or vice versa. It's just, hey, I'm here to have a conversation with you, man. We've been planning to do this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's literally just that. It's just pure intention of helping one another out. But of course, showbiz is showbiz, right? At the end of the day, wherever you go, showbiz is showbiz. But it's still what we lack here is that community of just helping one another and not constantly wanting to make money off of each other.
I think the problem with that is,
or maybe I'm just too naive.
No. It's not. You're not naive, but I think the problem with that community or that society versus this one is वहाँ पे there's abundance. यहाँ पे there isn't. Oh, that was my diffuser. Lavender. Well,
Nice.
वहाँ पे जो है, वहाँ पे there is abundance and यहाँ पे there is not. And that abundance bleeds into you to the point where there are people here. The people that are
Absolutely,
the people that are not respecting you, उनके पास तो है ना पैसा. But it's still that mindset and still that, it just bleeds into all facets of society. I think that's what the problem is. You said okay, so there's one other thing you mentioned, Wabi, that's very, very interesting. Shuru mein thoda pehle. You were like, what my famous friends go through, I got a taste of that and I don't want it. What was the taste of that, right? Because I said, if you want to make money, unfortunately, you have to be famous. Here.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. The taste that I got was, I think the all-girl band. That was the time, because it was so Nescafe basement era for sure. Yeah, it was lots of screaming in the face of kids. Lots of I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I think so when All Girl Band Love Me Again came out, it was 2016 February. And like I said, that was a very tough time in my life because my mom was going through cancer. And so I was living in Islamabad. And we were touring and we were doing a lot of performances. And most of my summer of 2016 was spent touring with some of the girls around the country and just playing for people in schools and this and that. So us Doran, I got a little sense of what being famous is. And I didn't like it, man. I don't know how to explain it to you. Like, it was just, the attention from afar is fine, but when you're like this close, and there's one time,
okay,
I'll give you another experience, and this will blow your head. Well, maybe, I don't know. We just met. I was doing a project with a brand, and it was a musical thing, and हम उस गाने की ना promotions कर रहे थे. Just like how people do it these days. They go to different cities, they do different TV shows, whatever, this, that. Somehow word got out with the musician that I was with कि मतलब वो पहुंच रहे Lahore के उस पे. I won't name him. But
why won't you name him?
I don't want to name him.
But then I cannot imagine the scale of it.
I'll name him later.
Oh, okay. All right.
So somehow word got out that Homeboy is landing in Lahore.
Let's
we were coming from Karachi. and we had to go to Mazak Raat that night. And I'm just like, yo, like, oh, fucking hell, man. They crack such jokes in Punjabi. I don't even know what they say. That's my dad's favorite show. Like, okay, do I really have to go? Okay, fine. We get off, we get out of the airport, and Mr. Kazi, it was insane. It was just like a stampede of boys and their freaking phones. And I remember doing the duck. Like, I ducked down.
Oh no.
And I'm crawling on the floor just to get out of that situation. Because I'm like, yo, I got nothing to do with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't even know me.
Yeah.
But just because I'm associated with this person and we're doing this track, it's just like, it was too much. It was just too many people like just coming, being like, you know. And sometimes that'll still happen because obviously at the end of the day, Instagram is such a, everyone's on it. And, you know, people will recognize, but I won't get the, except in Dolman Mall. In Dolman Mall, I always get some kid come and scream at my face. That's always happened. But like, you know, it was very... And then once I had I was working with, I did a song for the Air Force, and then we did a little tour where we played at a lot of air base schools and cadets and
fantastic.
That was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah.
Except for this one time, we were doing this show, or I just performed, and the band is, I normally am the first one to leave the stage. So now my band is right behind me and we're walking. And I'm just like, yo, man, that was so much fun. We have security everywhere. It's very army and like very obviously Air Forcey. Yeah. So everything is, and I'm just like, yo, that was so much fun, blah, blah, blah. And I see like a group of like fun kids waiting to like, you know, take photos and that. And I was like, okay, this is so cute, right outside our coaster. And normally what happens at big shows like this is that you don't have any buffer time. You got, as soon as you're done from stage, you go straight to either your room, backstage, or you go straight to the car that'll take you to wherever your artist room is. Okay. It's always been like that.
Yeah. Just to keep everyone safe.
Just to keep everyone safe, and just so that, and then obviously they still allow like fans to come and meet you, but it's in a very it's a properly organized manner. So इस वक्त उन्होंने इस तरह कर दिया था कि कुछ 6-7-8 बच्चे वहाँ जमा हुए हुए थे, which was fine. It was great. And then we had all like the security. That was, felt cool, but I was telling you earlier, I was very intimidated also. Yeah. So I get there and we're taking photos and this and that, signing shit, and I get inside the coaster. Now the band is inside because they're just like, these people don't give a shit about us. They care about you. Yeah. So the band's inside and security is still there and everything. But I remember vividly my manager at the time, he was standing on the steps of the coaster and I was on the first step and I was just taking a selfie, right? Sorry, I was just taking a selfie.
Lost you for a minute.
I was just taking a selfie, right? And then instantly I look up and I see a stampede of young boys freaking excited who get this one day and this one day throughout the year just to be wild and have fun.
Oh no.
And they're going crazy and they're like running towards me. And oh my God. I just remember my arm, like somebody just picked me up and dragged me inside and shut the coaster car, the door. Yeah. And I was just like, what the frick just happened? And they're like, bro, you boys chad jayenge tumhare upar, tum aaram se baith jao. And I was like, yaar, bechare. And I felt bad because, like, again, this was still fresh. Like, I had just done Basement and, like, you know, people getting to know me. And, like, it was cute. And that Air Force song became very famous amongst the Air Force kids community.
Of course, yeah.
You know, naturally, they wanted to meet me. But then when they came towards the coaster and they started, like, shaking it, that was scary. That was the first and the last time that's ever happened. And I still remember it to this day because I was just like, guys, drive. Like, I know it's not safe because also driving off wouldn't have been safe. So then some officers came and then they were like, bro,
what are you doing?
Like, relax, guys. Like, we're going to the meet and greet spot. Like, wahin aa jao. So, you know, so these little tiny experiences over the years have just made me realize that I don't think I have the capacity for that. Because then there's already a certain amount of expectation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can exceed that level.
Some people aren't built for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I think some people, just say for instance, I did a live podcast once with Muru. And I did another meet and greet. Meet and greet nahi, it was a meet up with Irfan Bhai. exact same sentiments, right? Where I was just a innocent, to nahi kahenge because I was there also, but I was a bystander. I'm just like, nothing to do with me, kya scene hai, right? And exactly that. After a while, I don't know what it is. I don't know, but they get into this frenzy, right?
Hmm.
And I expressed some similar sentiments where I was like, this is dangerous. As in, nahi hona chahiye.
Hmm.
But these people, Muru Bhai, Irfan Bhai, they were like, nahi, inko aane do. And that confused me. I was like, what about safety? They're like, yeah, these people, not a lot's going on for them in their life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I was like, haan, theek hai, and that's fair, right? And I understand that sentiment. And you guys are huge because of your big hearts, right? I understand all of that. But at the same time, at some point you have to kind of make them responsible because unke bade to unko nahi sikha rahe,
Hmm.
right? Ideally, unke bade unko sikha de कि you can't put someone at risk. You can't behave rambunctiously like that. You can't attack a coaster like that. It can't happen, right?
Yeah, it was also so long ago. I'm just realizing now.
Of course, but I mean, trauma stays with you, right? But I think unke bade unko nahi sikha rahe, but at some point someone needs to alert them to the consequences because they feel entitled to you. They see you online, they feel entitled to you. And unfortunately, वही जो competition की बात है, for the brands, you need that to happen so that the brands
yes,
will,
of course.
so the brands will pick
yeah,
you, be like,
yeah.
oh, so people go crazy for you. We're going to take Kazi now because Kazi, people go crazy for Kazi. But at the same time, the people going crazy, I would hope that they get some value out of meeting me or being with me, something other than just, oh, selfie, oh, I met him. You know what I mean? I hope
know,
there's something more.
The fact that you said that is very interesting because I feel the same way. I feel like some sort of connection should be, not all the time, maybe. Excuse me, not all the time. I mean, for example, many, many years ago, not that long ago, like maybe 5-6 years ago.
5 महीने पहले, बहुत साल हो गए.
Many years ago. I hosted well, I had to cancel it, but I was hosting a gig for Mother's Day, and it was the year after my mom passed. So I wanted to, like, pay a tribute, and I called a bunch of my friends to come and play. I was going to play, and I sold a lot of tickets as well. But
Okay,
due to the rain, I had to basically call it off, like literally right end moment pe. I was like, this is impossible. I won't be able to, because outdoor event tha. This one gentleman walked up to me with his family or his friends, and he came to me and he was just like, first of all, he asked consent to shake my hand. Very sweet.
Huh?
I was like, of course, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? And I was really sad. I was so sad. I was just like, yo, I spent money and I've, done a lot, and holy shit, now I have to cancel it. Why? So he came up to me and he said, I was like, I was giving him his money back because I also was like single-handedly refunding everyone like their tickets.
Yeah.
Because it was really, really sad. There was a long line outside, and then it was raining and everybody was drenched. We were all drenched, but I was like, I cannot risk the equipment. It will get fucked. So I've had the team to pack it up again. And I'm walking and this guy just goes like, I don't want the money back. And I'm like, why not? Like, like you bought a ticket. And he's like, no, you keep this 1,000 rupees, I think. I don't know. I don't even remember how much it was. And he's like, I just wanted to come and meet you. And I'm, matlab, itni hi badi baat hai ki aap bahar tak aa gayi hain. Hame khud paise dene, like refunding your tickets back and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to tell you that I drove all the way from Mardan.
Oh, wow.
Or somewhere from that region. And I drove all the way just to hear you sing Strong. And I just straight up started bawling in front of this guy. Because for me, that's, and my brother was standing right behind me and he was just like, this is priceless. You're never gonna, this is something that you cannot get or buy or fake or scam. This is the true human connection, that the ability that you have to connect with someone who absolutely has no idea what you are saying, but can connect to a song that is so special, not just to you, but also to them. For me, that was priceless. And that is the kind of connections that I very, very am blessed to have as an artist in Pakistan, as a singer in this country, as a social media influencer, all of the above. This is something that, which is why connecting with the masses and koi baat nahi agar kisi ko nahi, like nobody knows main kaun hu. I don't care about that, because what matters to me is the people who do know me, right? And who do know what my purpose is.
Mhm.
And I think that moment was the time where I was like, okay, I think I know what I need to do,
Which is?
which is to continue connecting with people through my music, which is why I could be labeled as a sad singer or a sad songwriter, or I could be labeled as an Angrez or a burger or a Bun Kabab or whatever. But if all of the above is what makes me or gives me the ability to connect with certain people, then I feel like I don't need anything else from here, you know? And that is the beauty of, I mean, alhamdulillah, I've had a lot of brands reach out and, want to work with me and stuff like that. But it has not always just been for the numbers. I also believe that they also see a certain point of my connection that I have with my following and with my fans and with the people who listen to my music. I feel that they see it because, like you said, otherwise, if no one's chasing me and crashing my car or whatever, or trying to get a photo with me, they're not going to hire me. But they still hire because they see a potential, right? And I think that is the mindset that majority of our population should maybe change. I don't know. I mean,
I think one of the problems is
sorry,
obviously.
did I bore you with
No,
that?
no,
You look
come
really
on.
tired.
No, it's about your mom passing and you singing about it and then canceling the show. What the fuck? How do you want me to be? Yeah, zabardast. Next us pe, no, dude, I feel this shit, right? Next us pe chalte hain.
Oh, sweet.
Next segment pe chalte hain apne. But I just feel because I also was then connecting you having that interaction 5-6 years ago,
Yeah.
and then being like, okay, I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
And then fast forward,
Being like, I gotta keep doing
yeah,
it.
and then fast forward, nahi main ja rahi hu, right? All of that kind of compounds in me sometimes.
Yeah.
So what's it called? What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, it's completely fine. I just wonder. I think with people, I just wonder because everyone's like big numbers, right? Big numbers, this and that. I think I wish we could explain to people कि आप जो अपने आप को इतना prop up कर रहे हो ना, the consumer, the follower, the subscriber, आप इतना अपने आप को prop up कर रहे हो ना, आपको भी पता है कि because we're just weak as a country and we're just weak as a society because of our purchasing power, आपको भी ये पता है कि आप you don't, I don't want to say anything harsh, but
No, I get it.
yeah, but because here's the thing, right? Why is the YouTube ad revenue so low here? It's very, very simple. It's not complicated. It's simple because YouTube बोलता है कि मैं आपको फला रेट दूंगा अपना इश्तिहार चला आपकी वीडियो के ऊपर अपना इश्तिहार चलाने के लिए. Cool.
What's
YouTube.
Ishtihar?
Huh?
What's Ishtihar?
Advertisement. Ishtihar. So yeah, it's fine. Ishtihar चलाने के लिए. And you're just like, fantastic, good YouTube, sounds good, we're going to make money. Then YouTube asks you, where's your audience from? Oh, I'm from Pakistan. My audience is from Pakistan. Okay, well, then you're going to get this rate. But YouTube, this rate is far, far, far lower than the
Standard,
rate that you would give to someone from America. Well, see, Kazi, it's interesting that you noticed that. And that's because the average consumer, the average person consuming content in America has a much greater purchasing power parity. वो बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ खरीद सकते हैं, right? आपका जो average पाकिस्तानी है, वो बहुत कम खरीद सकता है, तो उस हिसाब से इस region का जो advertisement है, वो हम यहाँ पे rate कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? Then you go back to them, you're like, नहीं, YouTube actually मेरे जो consumers हैं वो ज़्यादातर English speaking पाकिस्तानी है और उनकी purchase उस segment की average purchasing power parity is much higher than the average purchasing power parity of America.
Right.
But YouTube's like,
doesn't matter.
हाँ, ये इस बारे में मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, right?
It's a little like that with I want to say Spotify also.
Is it? I don't know anything about Spotify.
Equivalent is pretty darn small.
Pretty darn.
Unless you're making like unless you got like millions and millions of
Unless your
streams.
name is Tala Anjum, let's go.
Or Yunus, yeah.
Or Yunus, or these guys. Tala Anjum.
But they're such sweet boys.
I think they're fantastic. I really think they're fantastic. I think
also the word sweet next to their like
young stunners, yeah. the fucking young stunners are sweet. Yeah, yeah. This is gonna be a clip for sure. Meme ban jayega. Sweet boys.
They're so sweet.
Ladka rata hua jam dhoondta hu. It's just like
Sweet.
what?
No, genuinely, I actually mean that. They're very, very considerate.
Dude, I think
to their people.
Of course,
to their friends,
of course.
yeah.
I think a couple of things, right? One, obviously, what's on their shoulders is unimaginable. No one can imagine.
Holy moly! Like what? Like, dude, they've been doing it for over 10 years.
They have.
And my friend Zoha and I were talking about it. We're like, yaar, उनको भी तो देखो ना, वो लोग भी तो कब से कर रहे हैं. तो एक गाना आया, फिर ऐसे hit हुआ, फिर then it was just like a domino effect.
I think with them,
but they're very sorry. I keep cutting you. They really know how to connect with their audience.
With that, right?
And for that, I'm like, wow.
No, but it's
Good
that.
job.
It's that, but it's also a couple of things, right? One, obviously, what's on their shoulders is completely unfair because it's the angst and the hopes of an entire generation that's disenfranchised of young men that's disenfranchised. These young men don't have any, not necessarily have any parental figures, right? Not any masculine role models, and they have these guys, right? But these guys themselves, they're still young, mashallah say.
Yeah,
they're not they're not dads, they're not even married, right? So it's that, and it's also consistency. The one thing that you will never see from them is inconsistency.
Yeah.
It's just not from those two, not from Joke and not from those two, not from Tala Yunus, not from Tala Anjum. That's just not. I mean, regularly putting out music for years.
Yeah,
dude, come on. Something's got to give.
They're very dedicated. Without a doubt, they're very, very, very dedicated. And I've seen them. Well, at least I've seen the other one at work a little bit, and they know. I've also seen them stressed. I'm just like recalling every motive I've seen them.
Apparently, you've seen them sweet too. Which I mean, what the fuck's
they
going on?
Are sweet, man. Like whenever we're hanging out, I just feel like either one of them, they're considerate. They'll just be like, "Hey, man, you need anything?
Yeah.
Do you need anything? You need some food? Do you want anything at all? You let us know, okay?"
That's super cool.
And you don't get that. To be very honest with you. You don't get that
with
anymore.
Stars?
With stars, you don't get that. They'll just be like, "Ha, bhai." You know? Like
every star in Pakistan right now is a bus conductor.
They're just like, yeah. Like, idhar aao, chote.
Har kisi ka chota bhi hai.
I mean, yeah, but these guys, they're just like, what do you need? You need water? And then sometimes, I feel bad. I'm like, nah, man, you sit. You tell me, you show me the way.
Yeah.
So it's rare. It's rare that, and that's another quality one should have when you have that much fame. I mean, I've met Myra Khan. She came. She's really sweet as well.
I've never met. I haven't met any of them, but yeah.
I want to say I've met her 3 times total in my entire life because she's friends with friends, and I know her brother and a lot. Anyways, very small community. But she's so sweet. She's also another sweetheart who. We met at each other at Sing Club, and I just walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you're pretty cool." And she was just like, "You're the girl who sings. Come." Grabs my hand, takes me to like a circle of people, and she was like, "This girl." And everyone's just like, "What about her?" Like, And there were some like important people, of course. But I also went there with one entire initiative where I'm like, I'm gonna land a gig here. This is the place I want to perform. And that's a story for another time.
Okay.
But that was a week. In a week, I've manifested it so hard that I got a show the following weekend.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
But and also with her sort of boost, because she was just like, this girl, she sings so good, Maria, sing. And I'm like, oh, right now? She's like, yeah, audition. And I'm like, it's so loud, But she's just another gem of a human being. I think, and it's important, I feel.
I think I've seen this with I haven't met any of these people.
Also,
obviously.
Irfan Bhai.
Irfan Bhai, yes. So that I was going to.
He's a star.
I was going to. So Muru Bhai, Irfan Bhai, the young stunners, Myra Khan. I think the one thing they do have in common is they pay it forward.
Yeah, they're so humble.
Yeah, I've never seen them not pay it forward though. I've never seen them not put up other people. I've never seen them not be like, oh, check out such and such podcast, check out this person's vlogs, check out this person's music, do all that. Check out this
Yeah.
person's acting. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I think if you could learn anything from these people, 5 very successful people,
Yeah.
5 very successful people counted.
Yeah.
I think the one thing you want to learn is paying it forward will not reduce the amount that you get. It's just not going to do that.
I mean, if anything, it'll make it more.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like a great little exchange program.
yeah. It's because so
See, that's the kind of transaction one needs.
पर ये मैं आपको ये उर्दू में बोलूँगा आपको कि ये हमारे रिलीजन में भी है कि अगर आप खैरात करते हैं ना, इसको चले खैरात ना समझें आप, they don't understand this to be charity, but if you pay it forward, आप तिजारत अल्लाह से कर रहे होते हैं. So you're basically transacting with God. And how could you ever miss out on that? How could you ever not profit on that if you're just nicer to people, right?
Yeah.
And I think वही वाली बात है, I don't know if Myra Khan got anything out of introducing you. I don't think she did. I don't think the youngsters get
No
anything
idea.
out of being nice to you. I don't think Irfan Bhai gets anything out of being nice to me or anyone else.
Yeah.
I don't think Muru Bhai gets anything out of this stuff. I think they just do it because it's the thing to do. I think if we all just understood that this is the thing to do, कि फायदा नुकसान ना देखें, बस ये देखें कि अगर अल्लाह ताला ने आपको नवाजा है तो आप आगे बढ़ें. I think we'd be better off, man. I think
Yeah.
जो आपने बोला कि industry or the lack thereof, I think industries are made on this stuff. You know, and I think I don't know why these people. I don't know why the industry hasn't flourished, because there are people like this, but I suppose there's more people of the other sort. I don't know. That's my only explanation.
Maybe now more so than before, at least, because we do. I think Pakistan is finally. It's still catching up in so much, with so many trends and so many this and so many that. But it's cool, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, no matter how much I want to run away from this country and from the people, I love everyone.
yeah. Everyone.
No, but as much as I feel that I am done, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a way where I feel my chapter in Pakistan is ending. I'm in the last pages, and I think it's time for me to start a new book. You know, I want to enter my 30s in a different light and in a different phase, and I want to start a different phase of my life, kind of like how my mom did it when she married my dad. Where she was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
don't know a single word of this language."
That was gangster. Also, I do want to commend that. I mean, of all the places in the world to move to Pakistan from the Philippines.
I mean, they met in Dubai, so they were there for a long
Oh,
time.
Okay.
But then they moved to Lahore, and my mom was like, "Fuck, can we go somewhere peaceful? I want to live in the suburbs." And my dad's like, closest is Islamabad. This was like the 90s.
Yeah.
This is 93, and then I was born. But yeah.
I think that's interesting. I think that's super interesting. I can't wait to see what you do next. I think it'll be good, inshallah.
Hopefully.
But I am hoping that you are still open to sticking around.
I mean, I think the little bit of the market that I've made here, a little bit of the audience that I've made here, will always remain. I think when I say that I want to leave Pakistan, I don't think I mean I want to abandon Pakistan.
No.
I owe this country a lot, right? At the end of the day, no matter how messed up our system is, no matter how laws aren't implemented or we don't even have some rights, this country has still, it has kind of made me feel like if I can survive this country, I can survive most countries. At least the Europe I can survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I literally, my first year here, I felt like I was in the hood. I felt ghetto as F. I was just like, dude, yeah, I live in Karachi.
Yeah.
Oh, how long you been living there? 4 years. And they're like, what? Really? And I'm like, I know.
By yourself
And I
also.
flex that shit
Yeah.
because it's not easy, dude.
Especially by yourself.
It is not easy. It is not easy at all. So obviously I'm never gonna, it's like I'm not never ever gonna come back. My parents still live here. My dad still lives here. My brother still lives here. But I'd like to,
Do other things.
just take this entire, like literally just do this
Just take them somewhere else.
and then just walk
Waddle.
and then just do that.
Yeah.
And then be like,
Now we're here.
where's the plug? Where do I plug everything,
Fair.
Yeah.
I think I think it's powerful what you said. That distinction is super powerful. Where you're like, I'm leaving, I'm not abandoning. I think there's a difference. I think people need to understand the difference.
Yeah.
I think, ठीक है. Yeah, because so many people,
Kazi approval.
so many people leave, right? It makes me sad.
Of course.
It makes me sad, you know?
Of course.
But
I mean, what, 600,000 kids just left like last summer or something?
trained individuals, skilled people.
Yeah,
These are,
yeah.
and I'm not saying skilled आदमी की ज़्यादा value होती है, value ज़्यादा होती है उसकी, लेकिन कदर मैं नहीं ज़्यादा कर रहा हूँ उनकी, but just left.
Yeah.
No one leaves happy. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
No one leaves happy.
And that's the thing. I think another reason why I've continued to still hold on, despite having a Filipino passport, I think it's also just that I don't want to leave in anger. I don't want to leave in sadness. I want to leave with slight fulfillment, like the slightest bit. And by that, like, 13 years, that's a long time, man. Like, I started when I was a baby. I was a kid. Didn't know any better. Didn't know a single word of Urdu. All I knew was, theek hai, acha. Kya haal hai? Kab aa rahe? Kitne baje pahunchenge? Like, and not even in this accent. It was like, kitna baje pahunchega? Like, it was very... I mean, my mom used to talk like that, so I obviously used to just mimic, mirror. So at the end of the day, like, I owe this country a lot. And so I was just like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it the right way. And I need to be able to feel 100%. Abhi filana 80% hai, which is why even when I speak to a froze is just like, are you 100% certain? I'm like, you know what? I'm not. Okay, fine. I'll call you next month and let you know.
Because Dubai is cutthroat also.
Of course.
Dubai is 50 times faster than Karachi, right?
Of course.
You have to be sure.
I lived there 1 month in 2018 just to get a little taste of it. And 2018, this was a while back. It was 5 years ago, you know? I was a little overwhelmed. I was just like, abhi nahi.
Abhi nahi.
And then I was just like, let me get a little teaser of Karachi first.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I often feel, and I think this is a good segue to then move towards ending the podcast. I know you have to take a call.
Yes.
I've often felt that everyone experiences Karachi very differently. I think that's that's true for most cities, and that's true for most places. But Karachi specifically, depending on your socioeconomic background, depending on who you know, depending on what your interests are, I think Karachi is vastly different. I mean, आज जो है अभी जुम्मे का दिन है, अभी जमा नमाज भी हुई है, आज रात को एक नाइट क्लब पार्टी भी है. There's some people that are going to get around and recite the Quran. There's some people that are going to get around doing some unsavory stuff. And I'm not saying which is which, and I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying all of it is Karachi. Right?
Yes.
100%. Before anything else can happen.
Sorry about it.
It's okay. Before anything else can happen, you have to come to terms with all of it is Karachi.
Yes.
Right?
And I think that is exactly, you're beautifully put. Like, I mean, absolutely 100%. That is exactly what was in my mind when I was coming here, And for me, that was that I think my first week was when I was like, holy moly, I really am in Karachi. Because I had experienced so much from coming and staying at a hotel to then crashing at a friend's to then also being homeless for a little bit and then also like being a couch surfer and then afterwards dating somebody and then being like, hey man, I know we've just been dating for 2 weeks, but like I know you have a guest room and I have nowhere else to go. Can I please come and crash at your room for like 1 week? All of that and seeing different circles and different kinds of activities and like, just like in Lahore and Islamabad, I didn't see that. It was just one big bubble with everybody just like stuffed in there. In Karachi, this is the beauty of it where sabka apna apna. And even just the drive here, I was just telling my friend, I was like, dude, the city is so fucking big, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's
huge. Just, like, never
it's
ending.
Huge.
And when I fly off and I take off, I'm just always wondering, I'm like, oh, I wonder what area this is.
Yeah.
And wow, that's also new. And oh, look, a Ferris wheel.
so it's interesting, relationships and stuff, right? Maybe next time we do a podcast, if we can, I would like
part
to.
2.
Yeah, inshallah. I would definitely like to get into the homeless bit. Now that's heavy, right? But I'll tell you this. I think relationships in this city are just excuses to get to know the city better. I think and that's cold.
Sure.
That's cold shit. I think
mean-
that's harsh to the person that I might be speaking about, or the people that I might be speaking about. But growing up in Karachi, I would not be allowed to go to Tariq Road.
Oh.
Yeah, I would not be allowed. DHA से बाहर नहीं निकला हूँ मैं. तो सही मानों में जिसको burger बोलते हैं ना हिकारत से, I'm one of those people,
Okay,
right?
nice.
Then I went to Malaysia, then Canada. When I came back, the first assignment I got for work was go to Shersha. You probably don't know where that is. Shersha is the furthest thing from anywhere.
You been there?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah. So Shersha, right? And then I subsequently got into relationships where that led me to all parts of Karachi, every single part, right? And so where in and of themselves, those relationships are beautiful, but they also kind of unearth a relationship with this city. I don't think this city ever leaves you if you're from here.
Yes.
You know, I think cities can leave you. I think Hyderabad left me.
I
right?
think Lahore left me a long time ago. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, but
love the people
but
who love me, hate the people who hate me.
Yeah. But I think the city doesn't leave you, right? I think the city doesn't leave you, and I think lots of relationships are just excuses to get to know the city better. With that, would you like to plug your Instagram or anything else?
Maria Unera everywhere.
Maria Unera, that's MariaUnera. Maria Unera everywhere, and any gigs
New
coming
music in September.
New music in September. Any gigs?
Nothing commercial yet, but hopefully. Maybe I'll do a little intimate gig.
Club
Will you
432
come?
Of course. Club 432 is great for that.
Yeah, I did one last month.
They're doing good work. I like Club 432.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, small setup, artist centric. और मैंने उसको फरहान को बोला मैं ऐसे पैसे नहीं कमते लेकिन सही है. आप बस करते रहो इंशाल्लाह.
पता नहीं कैसे कर रहे यार हिम्मत है.
Bro,
honestly.
I think
love that guy.
Yeah,
respect, mad respect.
He's so chill. It gives me anxiety. I'm like,
oh my goodness, right?
I'm just like,
right?
So
this whole time I thought I was the only one who feel that, and I've known Farhan for like literally forever. So every time I see him, I'm just like,
how are you calm?
What's going on in your head? What do you, like sometimes I just like stare at him and he would be working and he'd be like, what do you want? I'm like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, I'm thinking about how to edit this. And I'm like, really? That's what you're thinking about? You don't look around where you live and you're just like, you don't worry? And he's just like, eh.
I think about
literally, eh.
I think about what a legend I am. That's what I'm thinking about. It's fucking great.
Think about the hustler, the gangster.
Anyways, Maria, this has been great. Thanks you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll see you soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.